Yeah. Good, busy. Thank you for being here today. It's really meaningful, and I know.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for coming. My name is Lee Burns. I'm the Director of the Bureau of Emergency Medical Services and Trauma Systems with the State Health Department. I'd like to welcome this year Lieutenant Governor Hochul and members of the legislature, state agency commissioners, honored guests, and most importantly, the families and members of the emergency medical services community. Again, welcome to this very important dedication ceremony in honor of our fellow New Yorkers who made the ultimate sacrifice and died while in the line of duty. Please stand while the Fire Department of New York City Ceremonial Unit presents our national colors. The color guard will be escorted by bagpiper Ross Zastro. Performing the national anthem for us this morning will be Melly Rose.
Detail, and salute.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs burst in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
3, 2.
Thank you, Melly Rose. Thank you to the Fire Department of New York City's Ceremonial Unit and the Fire Department's EMS Pipes and Drum Band and our own Ross Zastro for being a part of this very important day. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Pastor Joseph Kelleher of the New York State Chaplain Task Force. Pastor Kelleher will give us today's invocation and lead us in the EMS prayer.
Thank you, Lee. Good morning. What a blessed day and beautiful day to have this testimonial and this memorial service. As a 25-year veteran in the emergency medical services and have served in many of the organizations represented here, it's an honor and a privilege to have been asked to do this for you today. Let us put ourselves in a state of prayer. O God, our Father, you have commanded the light to shine out of the darkness and awaken us again to praise your goodness and ask your favor. Accept now the sacrifice of our worship and our thanksgiving. Make us to be the children of the light and of the day, heirs of your everlasting inheritance. We ask that those we honor here today are so honored in your kingdom as we celebrate their lives of service to your children. Remember, O God, your whole church and all your brothers and sisters, our brothers and sisters who care for those in their time of need. May our lives ever praise your wonderful and holy name. Amen. If you will allow me so, I'd like to recite the EMS prayer. As I perform my duty, whatever be the call, help to guide me and keep me safe from dangers big and small. I want to serve and do my best, no matter what the scene, to keep my skills refined, my judgment quick and keen. This calling to give of myself, most do not understand, but I stand ready all the time to help my fellow man. To have the chance to help a child restore their laugh with glee, a word of thanks I might not hear, but knowing is enough for me. The praise of I feel so truly blessed that you, O Lord, have chosen me to serve in EMS. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Kelleher, for that moving invocation. So again, let me welcome you to the 12th anniversary of the original dedication of this EMS memorial. In 2004, it was unveiled to honor those New York State EMS providers who died in the line of duty while serving their communities. Since the unveiling, we have placed 58 stars of life or leaves on our beautiful monument. Today, we are adding 6 more leaves representing EMS providers who gave their lives to their patients, communities, and the citizens of the state. It is particularly sorrowful to have to bestow one of the highest honors to these people in their deaths. I know that most of them would be horrified if they could look out and see all of you. They would look at you and say, "Oh, I don't deserve this." Only you can understand the passion that these people had and to the emergency medical services and their commitment to the patients that they treated. This week is important as it's National EMS Week. It marks EMS Strong. Every day you're called upon to help others through one of the most frightening times of their lives. Every day you're called upon to provide a sense of security and relief during a chaotic and challenging situation. Every day you're called upon to do work as a part of an absolutely essential service. As all of the people we honor today, you do your jobs with grace and integrity and dignity. Please never stop doing that. Today we honor Ralph Oswald, a paramedic from Hampton Bays Volunteer Ambulance Corps in Suffolk County, we honor Barry Miller, an emergency medical technician in Bergen Fire Department in Genesee County. At the Fire Department of New York's EMS Command, we honor Lieutenant Thomas Giammarino, Lieutenant Douglas Mulholland, Captain William Olsen, and EMT Luis de Pena. Every year I stand here and I am humbled by your participation in New York State's EMS Memorial Service. It demonstrates the importance of these people and their contributions to our society as healthcare providers and emergency medical responders. It displays to state leaders how important these gentlemen were as a part of our lives, and that they will always be remembered for professionalism and dedication to their patients and their EMS agencies in their communities. Today's service honors the important contribution that all of these people on this tree of life made to the state of New York. We honor each of these individuals who are part of our lives, and the 6 that we are placing on this memorial today, and they too will always be remembered. I'd like to thank many organizations who are represented here today who have been steadfast supporters of this memorial. The New York State EMS Council, the State Emergency Medical Advisory Committee, United New York Ambulance Network, New York State Volunteer Ambulance and Rescue Association, the Fire Department of New York's EMS Command, the Firemen's Association of the State of New York, Uniformed EMT Paramedics Union of the Fire Department of New York, and the Uniformed EMS Officers Union in the Fire Department of New York. A special thanks goes out to the Office of General Services, who meticulously maintains our memorial, and finally to the many EMS services who steadfastly come here each year to pay respects to their EMS fellows. It's now my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul.
Good morning, and thank you, Lee, for your heartwarming words and a reminder of why we are gathered here on what is otherwise a spectacular day. It's hard to balance the beauty of today with the sorrow that's in the hearts of the families sitting before us. And I thank all of you, the families near and far, to sit here. It would have been a lot easier to stay home today. And today perhaps rips open some of the scars and the wounds that you're trying so desperately to heal. But you came because of your loved one, and you needed to be here to see the name placed on this wall. For that, we are grateful. We know it was difficult, but thank you. Thank you to the families for being here. I also want to thank the Pastor Kelleher for, again, reminding us in the EMS prayer of what drove these individuals to this calling. For indeed, it is a calling. It is a calling to be willing to step forward and to put your lives on the line for your fellow man. That is something that a lot of us perhaps wouldn't have the courage to do. But the people who are represented here today in person and those represented by names on this wall answered that, and we are forever grateful. I also want to recognize the leaders of our legislature here with us today, Assembly Majority Leader Joe Morelli, our leaders in the Senate, Senator Andrea Stewart-Cousins, Senator Klein, who had the vision to bring this forward over a decade ago. Our Health Commissioner, Howard Zucker's here, and the EMS Council Chair, Daniel Blum. You'll be hearing from all of them. This is hard. This is hard because none of you wanted to be here. You did not want to be here today. But you're here because of what you know your loved one was willing to do. And I never cease to be amazed by the faith that we put in the EMS community. Because when we are in our most vulnerable times, our most stress, our most pain as New Yorkers, you always show up. There's always someone there to help us. Whether it's the time my little girl got knocked off her bike by a car and suffered some minor injuries, but she was surrounded by people in uniform who knew how to take care of her and hold her hand, all the way to when the towers fell, or a hurricane strikes, or there's a train wreck, a natural disaster that leaves people stranded, people whose homes are flooded, people who are in car accidents. You think about us at our most vulnerable point in our lives, and people from EMS show up, leave their dinner tables, leave their beds late at night, and they're there for us. And I don't know how we can ever express the gratitude of all of us as New Yorkers, to all of you who are so willing to do that. And I also want to acknowledge that today our EMS providers are called to do something very different. Because of the heroin and opiate crisis, they're often the difference between life and death when they show up on the scene with Narcan, something that who would have thought of years ago. They are literally saving people's lives every single day. And there's thousands and perhaps millions of New Yorkers who don't know who you are, but you may have saved one of their children or a loved one. They're calling them that. There just simply is no greater calling. And so we think about the people who are drawn to this service, their names that you heard today. These are good people. These are good-hearted people. In fact, you think of them as our angels on earth, there to protect us. We honored people like Lieutenant Thomas Giammarino, Lieutenant Douglas Mulholland, Captain William Olsen, and EMT Luis de Pena. They were all there when the towers fell. And yes, they may have escaped death that day, but the illnesses they succumbed to did not escape them. They did not escape them. They were not able to escape long-term illness. And so we will honor them here today in perpetuity, along with paramedic Ralph Oswald of the Hampton Bays, who lost his life while saving another's. My God, how many people would have that courage? EMT from my former congressional district in Genesee County. I know how tight those communities are. This is, whether you're blood relative or not, these are families. These are families who lost his life when they were struck on their way to an emergency. There's no way that we can attempt to provide adequate comfort to you. There's no words that we can even attempt to express. We can't fill the empty seat at the dinner table, and I can't fill the seat in the truck. All we have are mortal words to express how we feel today. But I just want you to know, on behalf of our governor and the people of the state of New York, we are eternally grateful that your loved one cared enough about other human beings that they stepped forward. And as a result of that, they are on this wall, but they're not just on this wall, they are forever etched in our hearts. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Hochul. Now I'd like to bring forward the Honorable Senator John Bonasek.
Good morning. It's always a special honor to come here every year for this ceremony. And I see a lot of tears today, but I come here with a different mindset. I come here in a way to tell you we will never forget. We will celebrate their lives. And what's important to remember is when people for the next generation bring their children here, whether we come to the police memorial, the fire memorial, they're going to say, "What's this?" And we're going to tell them about the EMS heroes. So I think it's critically important. When we started this, and I saw the size of this tree, I said, "This tree's too big. We don't need a tree this big. There's not going to be many leaves on the tree." Little did I realize the risks that EMT workers have every day. And in my judgment, it's getting even more dangerous in this society for those that get in harm's way. You know, the elected officials, we get a lot of press, doing this, doing that, but I've never saved a life. They've saved lives. Look around here. Everybody in those trucks have saved lives. So in my book, you are our heroes, along with our fire, our police, our military. God bless you. God bless this great country. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bonasek. Representing the New York State Senate, Senator Jeffrey Klein.
Thank you very, very much. It's truly an honor for me to be here today, and I think we need to say another special thank you to our Senator, Senator John Bonasek, who back in 2004 remembered something very, very simple, that yes, we have to honor firefighters. Yes, we have to really honor our fallen police, but we also have to remember our emergency service workers. So let's give Senator Bonasek a tremendous round of applause. You know, when most of us hear an ambulance roar by, we never realize that in that ambulance is a hero, is someone who is rushing to the scene because they know every second counts. They're rushing to the scene because they know that they can breathe the gift of life into someone that's injured. And we never recognize that there's a man or a woman there that does that each and every day. Every day, these individuals are putting their life on the line. And I think what this monument really stands for, this tree, is really always remember and never forget. Yeah, we're here today in a ceremony and the family is here and we're all grieving together. But I think it's incumbent upon all of us that each and every day, whenever we see or hear an ambulance, we have to recognize that there's someone doing a job that most of us would never think of doing. I think also when we see this tree of life, with stars etched with the names, we should stop and read. And what will take root? We should have thoughts about sacrifice, the heroics and bravery that makes this tree grow. I think each and every one of us, from now on, when we pass this tree that represents the bravery of those who gave their life for us, we should say a little prayer and always remember and never forget. Thank you all very much.
Speaking on behalf of the New York State Senate is Senator Andrea Stewart-Cousins.
Good morning. This is already such an incredibly moving ceremony, and I just wanted to, again, not only the families, as the Lieutenant Governor said, who came to participate in this memorial service to your loved ones, but also thank my colleague, Senator Bonasek, who thought it not robbery to erect a monument to the heroes. And clearly, they are heroes. I mean, as we gather today, we're in a sacred space that's consecrated in the memory of selfless individuals who risked their lives to save the lives of others throughout their years of service, and eventually paid the ultimate price for their heroism. Our EMS, as we all know, are tasked with the greatest responsibilities ever to care for us in the scariest moments of our lives, the most painful moments of their lives, where there's so much uncertainty. They bring with them the care, the compassion, and the passion for the work that they do. And they come with professionalism and bravery. And because of that, they've earned our trust, they've earned our gratitude. We must let the memory of the names we inscribe today also remind us that we owe a debt of gratitude to those who serve our communities. As leader of the Senate Democrats, I promise that we will continue to fight for the benefits, for the training, for the equipment, for the EMS, and of course, for the memory of those dedicated to this great service. Sometimes we do forget that EMS workers put their lives in danger in order to save someone else. I think back to 24-year-old Giammarino from my own hometown in Yonkers, who lived in the towers in 9/11. She ran into the North Tower, saved dozens of people before the towers collapsed. Marino, like those memorialized today, paid the ultimate price for others' health and safety. So again, to the families and friends here, I just want to let you know that your loved ones who did so much for all of us here in New York will never be forgotten. We will keep them in our hearts and in our minds, and they serve as an inspiration to all of us. And to the EMS workers who have joined us here today, I just want to give another special thank you for your selflessness. And we commit to continue to fight for you and to stand up for you. Thank you. May God bless you.
Also speaking on behalf of the New York State Senate is Senator Kenneth Laval.
I want to start my remarks off by thanking Senator John Bonasek for his vision, and as you could see from his remarks, his deeply felt passion. John, we thank you for that. All of us could just recite the EMS prayer because it encapsulates what all of those who go out each and every day, what they're all about. Ralphie Oswald was a paramedic with the Hampton Bays Volunteer Ambulance Corps. Ralph died on February the 9th, 2015, while responding to a call. Ralph Oswald was 64 years old. Ralph informed his crew members that he was in distress and immediately collapsed in cardiac arrest. Despite the best efforts of the Hampton Bays and Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance Corps, Ralph could not be resuscitated. Throughout his life, Ralph was a volunteer, and he died trying to save another life. I took out of the prayer, stand by to help my fellow man. And so that portion of the prayer is exactly what Ralph was doing. He gave his life while trying another. It is often said that it matters not how a man has died, but how he has lived. Ralph Oswald was an exceptional paramedic. In addition to his paramedic duties, Ralph was an EMT instructor and continuing medical education officer, helping volunteers across the South Fork maintain their certification. He led by example, and his two sons, Cameron and Ralph, followed in his footsteps. Ralph had the respect of his colleagues and community. His wife, Suzanne, and sons can take pride in the legacy of a man whose life was defined by community service, especially his dedication to emergency medical services. I want to thank you for the opportunity in joining you to memorialize Ralph E. Oswald and the other individuals who gave their lives in service of our state and serving the people of our state. Thank you.
Speaking on behalf of the New York State Senate is Senator Michael Ranzenhofer.
Well, good morning. It is an honor for me to join all of you today for a special remembrance for our fallen emergency medical services providers. And I feel like I'm in the midst of greatness, surrounded by heroes, not heroes that you see on the front page of the sports pages or the entertainment pages, but unsung heroes, the people who perform their great deeds without recognition, without seeking fame, who do it when nobody is looking. This is just what they do each and every day. It's an even greater honor to be here in the presence of so many EMS personnel from across the state, and because we're here to recognize a member of my community, Barry G. Miller of the Bergen Fire Department, of the community that I represent in Genesee County, and we're joined here today by his parents, Tracy and Loretta Miller, and his sister and brother-in-law, Pam and David McCarthy. And we're also joined by members of the Bergen Fire Department and Leroy and so many other emergency services throughout the state. Barry served as a member of the Bergen Fire Department for more than 3 decades. He held the title of Chief of Emergency Medical Services. And when I think of emergency responders, the words commitment, service, valor come to mind. It's so fitting for Barry's name to be placed on the memorial in remembrance of his ultimate sacrifice. Barry represents the bravery, the dedication, the selflessness displayed by many police officers, firefighters, emergency responders. He set an example for others. Like many, he acted with bravery and steady precision in dealing with the risks and dangers of emergency situations day in and day out. He was dedicated to our community, the community in which he lived, in which he worked. He volunteered much of his time as an elected official. He owned a small business and employed members of our community, many local residents. First responders work tirelessly to save lives and keep us safe, sometimes at the risk of losing their own life. Barry made the ultimate sacrifice. Barry made this executing his responsibilities, serving with loyalty and compassion, and doing it day in and day out for the betterment of our community. For that, I, his family, the fire service and emergency service family, and our entire community will be forever grateful. Thank you for including me in today's ceremony.
Thank you, Senator. Speaking on behalf of the New York State Assembly is Majority Leader Joseph Morelli.
Good morning. First of all, to my colleagues in government, it's so nice to be with you, and I want to acknowledge a number of members of the State Assembly who have joined us here this morning. You'll hear from my colleague Fred Thiel in just a few minutes, but I also want to acknowledge a number of other members who joined us. Peter Abadi, Dean Murray is here from Long Island, Peter Lopez, Dave McDonough, Chad Lupinacci, Carl Brabenek have all joined us. There may be others as well. And I think folks take time out because this is a ceremony which we're honored to be. And I look for it as a privilege each year to be able to address you on behalf of Speaker Hastie and all of my colleagues. And listening to the words of my colleagues is, it's hard not to find different ways of expressing what we feel. I have a number of statistics which staff draws up for you, the number of patients during the course of the United States that EMS responders care for is nearly 30 million, but statistics really don't tell the story. They do give us a sense of the magnitude of what you do, but this is truly a human condition and a human story. You know, many people are drawn to service in different ways. We serve our neighbors, we serve our communities, we serve our states. But the service that first responders provide is something unique. It's service on the highest order. And that's what we pay respect and honor today. And others have said this, but I'm always find it remarkable that the sort of the human instinct is in times of crisis, fire, automobile accident, and other tragedies, that sort of people tend to move away from that, get out of the area of danger and crisis. And yet EMS personnel and first responders, the opposite. They're trained and their instinct is to move forward, to provide help in that moment of crisis. It's truly an extraordinary thing that you all do. and to fight that human reaction. And we do tend to take it for granted, I think, and shame on us in society, but wherever the crisis arises, wherever it is, in your home, in streets, in the middle of an emergency or natural disaster, you're there. It's remarkable that we just sort of rely on it, and you're there. And it seems to me every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you respond to the gravest of disasters and give comfort and aid, not only to victims, but to their families who are in the middle of crisis themselves. And you all do it with such extraordinary professionalism, and we are incredibly proud. And from time to time, sadly, we lose someone in the line of duty, and the 6 individuals and others behind me on the tree, given in President Lincoln's words, the ultimate measure of devotion, deserve our enormous thanks. And for those times when we may appear to take it for granted, know that we don't, that we are truly, truly grateful for everything you do. So thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Assemblyman Morelli. Speaking for the New York State Assembly is Assemblyman Joseph Lental. Okay. Speaking on behalf of the New York State Assembly is Assemblyman Fred Deal.
Thank you, that's okay. Thank you very much, and it is a great honor to be asked to participate in this ceremony today and to get a chance to honor all of our EMS workers that are here today, that came today, that give such great service. But in particular for me, from the East End of Long Island, I am pleased to be asked to say a few words in honor of one of the 6, and certainly we say our sympathies and our prayers go out to the families of all 6 gentlemen who are being honored today. But I in particular am here to talk about Ralph. Ralph was from the Hampton Bays, and you heard Senator Laval talk about Ralph Oswald and his family and all of the work that he did. And before I was in the State Assembly, I had the opportunity to be involved in town government and village government. So you get to see every day the kind of work that people like Ralph did in Hampton Bays and that is done across the state. You get the reports of the number of calls that go out each month that they respond to, the amount of training that they have to put in to do this job. And in the case of our 6 honorees today, as Joe Morelli said, quoting Abraham Lincoln, give that last full measure of devotion by dying in the line of duty, trying to save others. Ralph only passed away a few months ago, but we expect when we pick up the phone and we dial 911 that somebody's going to be there and somebody's going to respond. And we take it for granted. We do see those ambulances out there, but when we pick up the phone, we take it for granted that somebody's going to come. And 3 days after Ralph died, I had my own experience. My wife had an accident in our house on the stairs and broke her leg, dislocated her ankle. And it was, I won't describe it for you, but it was a particularly gruesome injury. And I raced down the stairs and did the 2 things that I knew how to do best. First was to dial 911, and second was not to pass out while I was waiting for the EMS workers to come. And indeed, in a few short minutes, they were there. And that's something that all of us are going to have that experience someday, whether it's a broken leg or a heart attack or whatever. You never know. But somebody is always on the other end of that phone and always responds. And, what do you say to people that are that dedicated, that are willing to give of themselves that much and take themselves away from their family on a regular basis to help others? Well, we have this memorial, and that's a great thing. But I know in my hometown with Ralph, perhaps the great memorial was his wake and funeral and the outpouring of support that came from the people in my community for the work that Ralph had done throughout his life. That is something that I know the family and the community never forgets. And this memorial makes sure that we remember in perpetuity. And when I see a memorial like this, it reminds me somewhat of a World War II memorial. My father was a World War II veteran, a Purple Heart recipient. And, you know, in Normandy, there's a visitor center there, a memorial there. And if you look in the visitor book, you'll see two things written time and time again. One of them is thank you, and the other is God bless them. And I don't think we can say anything better or more simple than that for Ralph and our other honorees today. Thank you for your service, and God bless you.
Thank you. Today we pay tribute to the EMS providers of New York State. In New York State, we have over 60,000 professionals who provide life-saving care at life's most dire moments. They put their lives on the line for complete strangers, and they are truly the heroes and the role models for all New Yorkers and for all people across the country. On this special day, National EMS Week, we come together to express our gratitude to all the EMS personnel whose commitment to helping others might someday require the ultimate sacrifice. And you've heard the tree has 58 names on it right now, and today we add 6 more. So I wanted to spend a few moments to tell you who we honor. And you've heard a little bit about some of them. We honor Ralph Oswald. He's a paramedic for the Hamptons Bay Volunteer Ambulance Corps. He's a married father of 5 who was survived by his wife, Susan, and his 4 children. Ralph was 64 years old when he collapsed while responding to a call in February 2015. And he spent his whole life working in emergency services. He was a 42-year member of the North Lindenhurst Volunteer Fire Department, and he served as an officer of the rescue company and an officer of the engine company as well. He was an EMS instructor for the Suffolk County EMS course sponsorship, where he taught original and refresher EMS or EMT courses and continuing medical education courses as well. Ralph was so committed that even on vacation he would volunteer with a local ambulance company. It's true commitment. He saw EMS services as a 24/7 job, and he died doing the job that he loved so much. We honor Barry, a popular and beloved figure in the town of Bergen. He was an active member of the Bergen Ambulance Services and the county coroner. He owned a successful cabinet-making business and ran a vacation lodge in the Adirondacks. He served on town council. He was deeply involved in the Bergen Ambulance Service. And last September, he was in an ambulance on his way to a call when he was involved in a motor vehicle accident. He left behind his parents, Merton and Loretta Miller, to grieve along with the rest of the community who loved him so much. We also lost 4 people from the ranks of the New York City Fire Department. Luis de Pena. Luis de Pena Jr. was an EMT in June of 1992 when he started. He was known by his colleagues as Fluffy. He responded to the attacks, and I saw a picture of Luis. He was a big guy. He didn't look like Fluffy, but definitely the same. He responded to the attacks of the World Trade Center as a part of the large EMS response, and he served for many days at the site after the collapse. He was working on the rescue and the response efforts. Luis was described by fellow EMS services workers as a man with a giant smile, known for his generosity both to his neighborhood kids and colleagues alike. And he succumbed to cancer on November 7, 2013, related to his responses at Ground Zero. He was only 40 years old, and he survived by his mother, Elsa, and his 4 sisters. We honor Captain William Olsen. Billy became an EMT in April of 1976, and he's joined the New York City EMS in 1980. He loved being an EMT, and he rose through the ranks as a lieutenant and then as a captain, and he served in Brooklyn and Staten Island during his career. He was known by some as Captain Black Cloud. because when he was on the tour commander position, they would always respond to at least 2 multi-casual incidents that evening or day. He also responded to the World Trade Center on 9/11, and he died of an illness as a result of that response on June 1st, 2014, at the age of 61. And he's survived by his wife, Deborah, and their 2 children, Danielle and Kristen, and 3 grandchildren. We honor Lieutenant Douglas Mulholland. Doug became an EMS in 1986 and joined the New York City EMS in 1987. He was promoted to lieutenant in January of 2006 and served in both Brooklyn and Queens. He had a true passion for helping people. He joined the Lindenhurst Volunteer Fire Department and served his community proudly for 28 years. He was married to his sweetheart, Denise. The lieutenant also responded to the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001. He provided patient care on that day, as well as serving during the recovery efforts in the days and the months after that. And he too died of an illness related to that response on May 28, 2013, at the age of 49. He is survived by his mother, Jane, brothers Mark and John, and sister Barbara, as well as his nieces and nephews. And we honor Lieutenant Thomas Giammarino. He became an emergency medical technician in 1977. He joined New York City EMS in 1983. He was assigned to Brooklyn, where he became a lieutenant and spent his entire career. Lieutenant Giammarino responded to the World Trade Center on September 11, 2011, and he provided patient care on that day and served during the recovery efforts for days and months afterwards. And he died on October 7, 2014, at the age of 62. He is survived by his brother Frank and his nieces and his nephews. All 6 men gave their lives for the commitment to emergency medical services. Offering condolences to family and friends who continue to experience the anguish of losing people they love is hard, and I know it stays with you forever. But we celebrate these 6 people, and we celebrate many others, and we pay homage to all the EMS professionals. They possess the character, the strength, the willingness to put their lives on the line to help others. And you've heard, call 911 and we respect someone to respond, and they always do. New York is blessed to have more than 60,000 EMS professionals provide pre-hospital emergency patient care and transport. And these are truly the heroes that we tell children and grandchildren about. They play a critical role in protecting the health and safety of all New Yorkers, and they are very much needed. And on behalf of all New Yorkers, we thank you. We thank you for coming today, and we appreciate your efforts, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zucker. Representing the EMS community, please welcome the Chair of the New York State EMS Council, Stephen Kroll.
To our honored guests and elected officials, thank you so much for coming today. We thank you for your support today as we honor our fallen colleagues. Please look around you, and you'll see hundreds of people who are prepared to come to your assistance at any time, to provide compassionate care and comfort, no matter the difficulty involved. To the family and friends who are here today in memory of a loved one, please look around you and you'll see the family of EMS professionals who are here to support you in your grief and in your healing. It is my hope that you do find solace knowing that on a night when you may be sleepless, we are on the road. We are out there ready to help those in need. Please accept our prayers and condolences. To my EMS colleagues, please look around you at the names on the memorial. Please use that as inspiration to strive for excellence and compassion in all that we do. Those who we have lost are looking down from the heavens, and we can honor their accomplishments and memory through our actions every single day. Each of those that we have lost are now points of light in the heavens, guiding us as we move forward to serve others. Thomas Douglas William and Louise served our state and our nation on the darkest day of my lifetime. They put aside their fears and set forth to ensure that we could recover and move forward. Ralph and Barry put their love into EMS as professional volunteers. They put others first and gave their lives in service of others. We bless the memory of our departed colleagues and pray for the health and safety of all those who dedicate themselves to service to others. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kroll, for your commitment to all EMS personnel and to ensuring the safety of our fellow EMS providers and all New Yorkers. Ladies and gentlemen, the following are the names of those heroic New Yorkers who selflessly gave their own lives while helping others. This year, 6 names will be added to the memorial. Barry G. Miller. Luis de Pena, Jr. William C. Olsen. Ralph E. Oswald. Douglas Mulholland. And Thomas V. Giammarino, whose family is not with us today. I'm going to ask Commissioner Zucker and Mr. Kroll to lay the wreath of remembrance, thereby dedicating this day and this ceremony in honor of all EMS personnel who lost their lives in the line of duty. Pastor Kelleher will now give the benediction.
On behalf of Divine Guardian Ministries and the New York State Chaplain Task Force, it's been an honor and a privilege to provide the services for you here today. My mother would swear that I'm Italian through and through, but with a last name like Kelleher, I have to end this with an Irish blessing. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun always shine warm upon your face, and rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, God hold you in the palm of his hand. Amen.
Please remain in your seats until the color guard retires.